Hello, everyone. Spaniard here. Now, I've got with me today, would I be right in saying Dr. Angela Musso?
Yep.
Correct? Yeah,
Yep.
Dr. Angela
Yeah,
Musso.
yes.
Now, a lot of you may not be aware of Dr. Angela Musso, and some of you might be aware. But let me just explain how Angela has kind of maybe hit some of the airwaves, and some of you might be familiar with her in an interview that she did with Open Democracy, okay, concerning her interactions with one Iain Clifford Stamp and Matrix Freedom. Now, before we get going, because I'm sure a lot of you are going to be aware that I've had a few run-ins with Iain Clifford Stamp, and I've had an ongoing kind of debacle with Matrix Freedom. So before we even do anything, Angela, can I just confirm, for the benefit of those watching, and just to prevent, or shall we say, deny up front any kind of baloney that Iain Stamp comes out with, can I just ask a few questions? Can you
Of
confirm,
course.
are we married?
No. Was
Are
that
Are you my sister?
no?
Am I your long lost father?
No.
Do
My
I
father.
work for you? Do
No.
you work for me?
No.
Have I paid you to do this interview?
No.
Have you paid me to do this interview?
No. Oh
Did we
my
join,
goodness.
did we ever join a cult together that was and employ and then suddenly become employed by MI5 and tasked with the job of taking down Iain Clifford Stamp and Matrix Freedom?
Oh my goodness. What is this ridiculous things coming from? Sorry.
Now, what I'm doing is, you see, I'm trying to counter the ridiculous allegations that Ian Stamp comes up with in
Oh my
terms of claiming,
goodness.
I think, among other things, apparently I'm employed by the World Economic Forum. Are you employed by the World Economic Forum?
Well, no.
No. Have you ever met Klaus Schwab?
Oh, no, because if
Are you
I
related to
did,
him?
I am related to Klaus Schwab. Oh my goodness.
No. Well, this is the
My
kind of
goodness. No, no.
No, good. Well, neither am I. So just to put all of that to bed, the only party, in my opinion, that's likely to be employed by the World Economic Forum is Ian Stamp himself, purely from the point of view that he has successfully, in my opinion, ripped off many, many hundreds, if not thousands of people who are associating themselves with the truth movement, and this guy has come in and effectively torn it up. He's torn up the playbook by basically making up a whole load of baloney about what he can do, what he has done, what he's all about, his spiritual vibes, energy, light energy. I don't know, the second coming. I don't know what else he's claiming about himself. But anyhow, as far as I'm concerned, it's a load of tosh. But here we are. I welcome Dr. Angela Musso. So, Angela, please, for the benefit of everyone, maybe give a little bit of history about yourself,
Okay.
and then
Oh,
what we'll do is we'll get on to how you happened upon Ian
okay.
Clifford Stump. Sorry, Stamp.
Stop. Yeah. So I am international GP. I've actually qualified. So I qualified in Russia as an MD, but I've done all my training in the UK. So qualified as a GP, and then used to work in New Zealand and Australia. So during the COVID period, I used to work for Public Health England, and I had a quite stressful situation with lots of things happening in my life because, I used to be, I was a whistleblower at one case, and then, so the whole spiral out when you tell the truth and things happen into your life, it's kind of a healing process right now, I think. But that's why I'm mentioning this. You just can understand how stressful it is, and you waking up to so much knowledge, and you understanding this is all not truth. It's awakening and healing time, and at the same time I'm meeting these people, like you said, truther movement, and they're offering me, um I lost my job and what have you, and it's some, I can't talk about this legally, but you can read that in a Daily Mail and a newspaper. I had
Hmm.
another interview as well. So what exactly happened, but I can't give any more information, but
Okay. Well,
that was before, yeah.
without you affirming or denying, as I understand it, so you were working for the NHS, of course, as we all know, COVID and coronavirus came along in early 2020. You then realized that something, or you felt that something may not be quite right. You
Yeah.
raised your concerns,
Yeah.
in certain ways. You end up losing your job. You're under a lot of stress. You happen upon all this information. You have an awakening, as most of us have done at some point. We've had an epiphany, and then you happen upon Matrix Freedom. So, do you want
Yeah.
to tell us what happened from that moment when you? What did you see about Matrix Freedom? Did you see a video, an advert? How did you happen upon
Yes, yes, they are so convincing. I think, at the time I was kind of in a victim mode and I need a savior. Do you understand what I'm saying? I
it?
understood this later when I analyzed myself and all this trauma I was having, and you constantly feel like just attacked when your intentions are good. You're telling the truth anyway. So you come into this savior telling all the system is corrupt, mortgages is corrupt, all of this stuff is telling us all these good stories, and then 100%, I'm going to get rid of all your debts. This is all not right. It's just, so I fell for it.
So, can I ask?
Yeah.
Look, let me ask what you felt, what you were aware of, or what you were led to believe. So, you see an advert from Matrix
Hmm.
Freedom, right? So, what did you do next? Did you phone them up? Did you email them? What happened?
So there was like an online form. You fill the online form,
Uh-huh.
okay? So they will contact you. So I spoke to them. I said, I'm not paying. Let me just find out what's going on. So I've attended a couple of his webinars or sort of stuff. So he talk
Yeah.
about, yeah, he talks about, like the birth certificate, the legal system, all of that
Yeah.
things. Yes. So um obviously when you realize that some of the current legal system is not supporting you, but because you don't know, you don't have enough knowledge, that's what I'm thinking what happened, and you kind of start believing, oh, something else is there because that might help me.
Well, this is the
Yeah.
thing. Look, I mean, we
Yeah.
know that in order to propagate a mistruth, it's always handy to throw in, a
Oh
whole
gosh,
load of a
yes.
whole load of
Mm.
truthful stuff, and then you can
Yes.
slip something that's not quite true in there, or use that to your advantage. And in my opinion, this is what he's done. So he's taken information that he's gleaned from around the internet, and he didn't do any of this research himself.
Can I
Um,
just mention something? It's
yeah, of course
very
you can.
important because
Cool.
he actually had the interview with David Icke, and I think that make me feel like this is a good guy.
Hmm.
I fallen for that as well. But even on that interview, David Icke was kind of telling him off. He wasn't sure himself who is this guy. You can see that. But me, as
Hmm.
an, you have a kind of somebody you listen. Do you
Hmm.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I fall for that as well. So he just used everything for
Well,
people to.
that is a technique of credibility by association. What he portrayed on his emails was that people were approaching him for an interview. The reality from members of staff that worked at Matrix Freedom is that they had a dedicated team going out, reaching out to well-known figures, well-known speakers, asking for interviews on behalf of Iain Stamp. And this is as I say, in my opinion, it's a technique. It's a well-known technique of credibility by association. You go on and do interviews with these people, and then as you fell for, you then believe that, well, David Icke must know him in some way,
Mhm.
shape, or form, because David Icke is happy to be seen with him. And then, of course, there were other speakers as well that were initially happy to be seen with him, but have since demanded that their videos come down. For example, Mark Devlin, for one, as soon as he found out what this was all
Wow.
about, asked for his video to be taken down. As I understand, Dr. Sam White has now
Oh, do you know, I've
turned
contacted
his
him.
changed his tune. Yeah.
Do you know, I've emailed him. He never replied to me because I find I kind of sussed it out. Something is not right. My heart was just telling me the way they were handling everything. Typical
Hmm.
psychopathic narcissist. like oh. So I've contacted him and I never had, because I was worried. I was really worried because the way he's like a brainwashing people,
Hmm.
and a Dr. Sam White at the time was a big figure. So he was bringing all this money to him. But I
Hmm.
mean, I didn't have anything back, but I don't know why, because probably was Matrix Freedom email. Sorry, I had
Yeah.
to just put that there if
No,
this
no, no,
happened.
that's fine. So, and I know there were one or two others. I can't remember their names right off the top of my head, but as far as I'm aware, there are 4 or 5 people that were interviewed or conducted interviews with Iain Stamp, and have then since demanded that these interviews be taken down. Albeit the fact that Iain Stamp does or doesn't necessarily listen to what people are saying, as anyone that's asked to be unsubscribed from his mailing list will be able to testify. He doesn't stop mailing you. But so let's get back. So you've lost your job.
Mm.
You're in under pressure. You've seen this advert. You fill out the form. They contact you. And what was it that you decided to go for? What was it that what service did you buy from Matrix Freedom?
So I bought the unsecured credit. That's the one. So basically, what he says to you, you pay with the credit card. Listen
Hmm.
how it's going, all right? You pay with the credit card. We take 2.5 or whatever percent they were taking. Sorry, I don't remember now. It's like some traumatic experience I'm trying to forget.
I think that's
To
what
be
his wife
honest.
said. Oh, sorry.
My God. Oh my God, yeah. So anyway, so exactly. So he said you pay with the credit card and we'll write the off the credit card you paid
Yeah.
off as well. So
Hmm.
you see, so people then are like, oh, I don't actually have to pay. So it's actually the banking system will.
So that's
Do
a,
you understand?
Yeah, so
Yes.
the selling point is that you pay for, and I've heard about this, you pay for
Mm,
his services using a credit card, and
yeah.
he then sells it to the victim that, but don't worry, because I'm going to get rid of that credit card for you, so you never pay
Yes.
for it anyway.
Mm,
So in
mm-hmm.
actual fact, what he's actually doing is, he's actually damaging. He's not only damaging the victim in terms of the credit file
Question.
and stuff like that, which he then obviously I was aware he was claiming left, right, and center that it wouldn't affect your credit rating.
I
Although
know.
although everything that he's claimed, I must point out to people that are watching, he does change his story like the wind. And so unless you keep tabs on this and keep records, which I've been doing diligently because he
Thank
changes his
you.
story, then
Yeah.
you won't be aware that he changes his story. So, you have to actually go through everything and follow it all the way through to see how he chops and changes the narrative. And then he'll deny ever saying things. When in actual fact, basically what he's doing is he's just twisting and turning and lying to get out of whatever it is that he feels he's
I
being
know.
called out for. So I'm totally aware of this because, as I say, I've been
Yes.
collating evidence because me personally, I knew he was a liar the moment I received feedback from people saying that he was telling people I worked with him.
Oh
Now
wow.
I know who I work for and I know who I work with. So I ought to know whether I'm working with Ian Stamp or not. So the moment I heard that, I knew that he was a liar
Mm.
because that was a lie. Now, once you find one lie, anyone that's woken up, all you have to do is keep digging, and the chances are you're going to find other lies because in law, if someone lies, their testimony is thrown out because they're a liar.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so if we're dealing with the truth movement, if someone comes out with a mistruth, well, then the chances are there are further lies or mistruths in that party's narrative, backstory, whatever it is. And I've got to say, I've found lie after lie after lie after lie after lie
I
where Ian
know.
Stamp is concerned. So so how much did you? So you've responded to this thing. You've fallen for it. You've bought the sales pitch that you're not going to really be paying for anything because they're going to wipe off your
Yeah,
credit cards.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
How much did you end up paying for this from the credit cards?
So I think it was a £8,000 for the credit card and 1,500 for the mortgage, but that wasn't a whole of it because you have to pay extra when they're doing this legal stuff for the mortgage. Oh my gosh, I was so stupid. You don't understand. It was like I can see how it goes because they already lied to me and they say, oh, that every time emails
Well,
delaying things.
I don't think. Well, look, I don't think you should put yourself down. I mean, the thing
No,
is
it's
that
it's an experience. I'm looking at this as an observer now. It's
no,
just like,
sure.
what were you thinking, girl?
but the thing is, look, what you were dealing with, you were under pressure for a start. And when was it that you, let me just get the dates right here. When was it that you actually paid for this service?
That was August 2021. So my
Right.
whole thing started, I've been reported to GMC and all this stuff. It was everything was really stupid because, I know my job and I know the legal system and I
Uh-huh.
know what sort of rights is. So imagine going through all of this and, pressure
Well,
is understatement.
look, the thing is you're under pressure. You've got
Yeah.
expenses, you've got mortgage, you've come out on whistleblown, you've lost your job, you're being attacked, you're trying to defend your name and reputation there, and whatever else is going on there. And anyone that's been involved in a court case, even, people out there that just have a speeding ticket, you feel stressed with that. Imagine when your reputation, your career, and everything is on the line, and the impact that that then has on your credit file, your mortgage, your living expenses, being able to eat. That's immense pressure. And then along comes Jesus reincarnated as Ian Stamp, right? Or so
Yes.
he would potentially um, present it, right? This is the
Yes.
impression I get from the way he tries to present himself. He's the second coming,
Savior.
right?
Yeah.
And white light and, all this kind of high frequency white light. Dressed up as bullshit. But so he then comes along, and of course, in August 21, one thing hadn't happened back then. I hadn't actually made any videos exposing him.
Mm.
So it was because of people like you, victims like you, people that have been turned into victims like you, that I then and when I started, as I say, hearing about him claiming that I'm working with him, right? That
Yeah.
actually in April 22 caused me to make the first videos, distancing myself from him, making it
Hmm.
clear that I don't work with this bloke, right?
Hmm.
And in actual fact, the first video was in response to something from Michael Benicia, who accused me and Ian Stamp of working together. And it's like, well, what gave you that impression? Well, now I know.
I
Ian
see.
Stamp
Yes.
and all of his staff propagating a load of baloney, right? So, so the thing is that there was, albeit the fact there was information out there on the internet, it was kind of you had to do quite a few searches to get to it. So I can't. You're not anyone that was in your kind of position in 2020, and in fact, he was selling this in 2019. So from
Okay.
19, 20, 21, it's totally understandable because he is a slick operator.
Hmm.
He has had years of practice of propagating bullshit, right? He's well practiced in this, right? In my opinion, he's well practiced from the evidence I've uncovered. He is very well practiced and he has left a wake of devastation and victims
Wow.
behind him with multiple what he calls his successful businesses. But as far as I'm concerned, they are just complete shams. And he's ripped people off left, right, and center.
Yeah.
So ultimately, then we're talking August 21. He then relays, you've woken up, you're being attacked, you're under pressure. He comes along like a shining knight in armor. He presents some truths that he's gleaned from around the internet, presents them as if he's the all knowledgeable font of of wisdom. And of course, you're then taken in by that with this unique selling point of, well, you're not going to pay for it anyway. The credit card's going to be wiped off. So when was it that you started to smell a rat?
That was in 2022. I think
Okay.
what April time you said that something happened over there and the things was postponed and postponed about the mortgages. The letters keep coming and my credit files and all the stress started. Mind you, it wasn't just a little stress because in 2022, like I got to the point that bailiffs took my car,
Right.
supported by police and all of this stuff. So I went through major negative, negative events in my life. I mean, I'm grateful for them now because I learned my lesson to not be in that way and look after myself more. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I
no, I
mean, it's
understand. I totally
I'm
get it.
taking I'm taking this as a great lesson, but it was hard while I was going through that.
Well, hey, look,
So
I was going to say, look, for people out there that are struggling, look, we attach a lot to material things. And I
yeah.
think, and sometimes we think whether it's the stigma that's attached
Yeah.
to it, and we think, oh my God, I'm going to be so embarrassed in front of my neighbors and my family that I've not been able to manage my affairs, that I've got into this
Yeah.
kind of situation. Um, and we think, it's the end of the world. They're going to take my car. It's the end of the world. I'm going to get a judgment.
Yeah.
It's the end of the world. I can't afford to pay. And actually, you know what? No, it's not the end of the world. And sometimes you have to sink to those depths to
Yeah.
realize that actually, no, life still goes on. And this is all just part of the fictional world that we're dealing with. And it's all in your head, right? And okay, yes, you might be impacted, and having no funds or having no income from a job may well prevent you from, buying stuff. And you have to, it's going to be a lot more difficult to eat and to do things.
Mm.
But life goes on, right? So we get to 2022 and you're beginning to smell a rat. So what
Yes.
what did
So
you do? What happened next?
I've actually complained. I've sent a letter. Something is not, it's not right. You need to. I would like my money back. They say no, 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 and then organizing this stuff. So they just postponing it, and I'm like, you said it's this is will you will pay back everything if you don't do it. I want my money back.
Multiple people cite the fact that he offered a
Yeah.
100% money back guarantee. So you wrote to them saying you're not happy, they've not done the job they promised
Yeah.
to do, you want your money back. What happened then?
So again, they were like, "Oh, we're going through some changes." So, oh my goodness, honestly. And then and then in August, I even tried to call that number. It was nobody there, so I didn't know who to
This
contact.
is this is
Literally,
August
no
22,
numbers.
August
The
23.
22. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There was no number. There was no answer. So they disappeared, and
Mhm.
I think that's when I think I've commented on your YouTube video or
You
something.
have?
That's so because we created this group, against Matrix Free, the victim of Matrix Freedom on that email. What happened? It was a data breach as well. So they've done so much illegal stuff. It's just unbelievable, And a fraud. I've reported him actually to fraud numerous times. I had nothing, and I've reported to harassment as well because, as you're aware, he started harassing me after that
Well,
interview.
well, let me
Yeah.
just stop it there. So, right. So, in your opinion, they committed lots of illegal acts,
Yes,
and in your opinion, I just want to make sure we get this quite because I know what he's like, so
it's
I know
my
what he's like with his
opinion. No,
threats.
it's
And
just
in
my
your
opinion. I'm
opinion,
not illegal.
and in your
Yes,
opinion, and in your opinion,
yes.
right, he's committed fraud, albeit the fact that I would point out to people that we have actually subsequently paid over £30,000. Right, this is the crowd fund has paid over £30,000 to have a private criminal investigation completed. Okay, and the that private criminal investigation into the conduct and behavior of Matrix Freedom
Mm.
was conducted by Dr. Tariq Ghafoor, the ex-assistant commissioner to the Metropolitan Police, together with ex detectives from like Scotland Yard and
Yeah,
various
he was
police
from
forces around the
Scotland Yard.
country.
Yeah.
And they concluded that Matrix Freedom, right, based on the information that they have available to them, they concluded that Matrix Freedom is engaged in what's called racketeering. In other words, conspiracy to defraud. That's what they've concluded in this report. Now, that report is now with the FCA, which I can come on to later. But so we were saying here, so you mentioned the Matrix Freedom Victim Support Group. So
Yes,
what
yes.
I assume you made contact with them, did you?
No, because what happened, some lady was working there, they got rid of her, so it was a data breach happened. So then she emailed everybody, all her on her mail list. That was us. Do you know, I was a part of so many groups. I was just looking at what's happening by making my own decision because I've already been a victim. I'm not the victim, you see.
Hmm.
So I'm not doing this because I've been like lots of people trying to help me, legal advice, what have you. And I had to stand up in the court by myself. And I've, lost so many cases. But I thought it's a loss, but it wasn't. It was my healing process to stand up and say no to injustice. I mean, I didn't know. Knowledge is the power, but it's a learning
Yeah,
curve,
well,
I
you got to.
guess.
Well, we've all got to learn to stand up. So now,
Yeah.
so you're going through this process of there's various parties, and I'm aware of this. There was a data breach where I think he'd sent emails out, apart from the data breach in terms of not removing people when they want to be removed.
Yeah.
And apparently now, as I understand it, people have now found out that they are apparently selling people's data to
Mhm.
cryptocurrency companies and this, that, and the other. They're passing on all data apparently without any kind of permission, right? So
Consent. Oh.
those would be violations. But as I understand it, there was a group of people that all got copied into an email or something,
Mhm,
and it revealed
mhm,
all your data to all the other
mhm,
parties.
mhm,
And so
mhm,
those parties got together to try
mhm.
to do something about it. Um,
Yes, yes, that's what
and
exactly happened.
what happened when all these people approached him to say, you shouldn't have done that? What did he do in response to that?
Oh no, he's created another. You said sign up for something else, pay more money. It's all gonna get better.
So his way of resolving his cock up was
I'm
to
like, are you kidding me? And I'm
entice you to come
yes,
and buy
yes,
another
yes, yeah,
service.
yeah. And we're gonna get everything. And not only that, I've got emails from other guys working for that company saying to me, I think it was after my interview, saying to me, Iain Stamp is a great guy, they help him. I'm like, hold on, did you get everything paid? He was like, no, but things gonna get better. I'm like, I've been fooled once. I'm not gonna be fooled twice.
That
I'm
remi-
sorry.
that reminds me of that song, Things Can Only Get Better. Um, well, things could always get worse. I mean, not only get better, but they could get worse. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, where Matrix Freedom are concerned, things have gotten worse. Now, if we move into like 2023, and I'm aware, I think the Matrix Freedom Victim Support Group kind of, I'm aware of various parties. You've got this guy who calls himself Captain Jack. You've got another guy that we call Smudge, and various.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember back now. I think this was kind of August 22 that they kind of started coming out of the woodwork, and people started
Yes.
realizing that something's not
Yes.
right.
Yes.
So we come into 23. What happened in 23? Because you mentioned the word harassment.
Yes.
Right. Do you
So
want to tell us about that, what he
yeah,
was
yeah,
doing?
yes.
Because I want everyone to know what Mr. Stamp is really all about.
So I have the journalist, after I commented on your YouTube video, contacted me and he needed more material. So I told him what exactly happened and I said, I'm sending my emails. I'm not gonna send anybody else's. So what exactly? So he got gathered all information, and then he interviewed me basically. And in February 2023, the article came out about Matrix Freedom and how they basically, yeah,
This is the open democracy,
yes,
which
yes,
people
yes,
can
yes,
you can go and Google this people on open democracy. All right. In fact, if you search on Google and actually search for either Iain Clifford, Iain Stamp, Iain Clifford Stamp, Iain Compton Stamp, or Iain Clifford Besant. Okay, he's got a number of different names, aliases. Well, then you will find you have to do a bit of searching, but put in financial and this that, and the other, and there are multiple platforms revealing multiple historical articles about Iain Stamp and his failed ventures. He calls them successes because I think he walked away with a lot of cash, but his
yeah,
victims were left, in some cases, having to sell homes, losing homes, losing, small fortunes, thousands of pounds disappearing. There's a Times article talking about 5 million has gone disappeared. Um, and in terms of offering stuff, I mean, I've seen even with his, I think he called it Global Edge and Soccer Edge, which was his gambling algorithm,
well,
which was obviously so successful he hasn't used that himself, but he got people to send him money to apparently use this. But I've got emails from him where he was actually saying to people, well, it hasn't worked for this reason and that reason. We'll offer you this instead. And then he's
oh my
trying to move
goodness,
people over to Matrix Freedom. So it's constantly offering, I know that carrot didn't work and you never ate that carrot because that carrot was dangling in front of you, but you never got to eat it.
mm,
But what I'm going to do is because you couldn't eat that carrot, here's a bigger carrot. So maybe you could have
I
this
know,
carrot instead. Just give me some more money. And when that didn't come off, it's like, well, here's an even bigger carrot and
I
maybe a
know,
courgette. How about giving me more money to have the carrot and the courgette? Maybe throw some roast potatoes in, and we could have a Sunday lunch if you keep throwing money at me, on never-ending promises, promises, promises. But following that open democracy interview, this was at a time when Iain Stamp, I think he felt under a lot of pressure. Now, I'm aware of this for various reasons because members
Mm.
of staff over at Matrix Freedom were releasing information out. I mean, I have internal videos, right, showing Iain Stamp trying to give a bit of a rousing speech to his staff, wanting them to give me, as the phrase goes, give Goldberg heat,
Oh
right? I
boy.
want Simon to feel the heat, right? So
Mm.
he was
Mm.
intending to inciting harassment, right? Now, the thing is, what he was also doing with his members was that he wanted loyalty from his members, didn't he? And he
Unbelievable.
was sending out a whole host of emails to members or ex-members like you. And what was he saying in these emails? Can you remember from
Oh,
20, early 23, what he threatened you with?
oh, he debunked. Yes, it was because I, blocked and deleted some of the
Ah,
emails. So, but he was sending quite a bit, and I always wanted to know who actually are you? Why he keep talking about you, basically? Because, and then thank goodness for that YouTube video. No, because then members of the victim, so they start sharing your videos because they say you need to listen to this guy and see who is actually this guy is. And thank you to
you're welcome.
giving, no, honestly, thank you for opening eyes for other people, and thank you for organizing all of this, because can you imagine how many people would suffer from his fraud?
Well,
It's unbelievable.
I figure as at August 22, by my calculation, I reckon he's cost people between 10 to 15 million that he's taken from people. In January 23, having learned that Iain Stamp had put this kind of price on my head for his staff to give me heat, as it were. So he's wanting them to harass me. He then proceeded to send me in excess of 100 emails between February and May 23, containing multiple threats of UCC liens. And this might ring some bells with you, Angela. He was threatening all of his members and me with UCC liens if I didn't do what he said and blah blah blah. I mean, that's not very
Yeah.
controlling, is it? I must remember to lien the wife if she doesn't do what I say. Not that I'm not married actually. But so from memory, he actually did that with you, and I
Yeah,
responded, and I interjected and responded on your behalf, right?
yeah,
Now, can
yes,
I
yes,
ask
yes.
you, based on his threat to you, has he ever carried forward that threat and taken any of your property?
No,
He
uh,
hasn't.
no, and
Mm.
I informed because all of his written, it sounds. Then I start analyzing and realize he needs like psychiatric help. I'm sorry.
In your opinion, he needs
Yes,
psychiatric
it's
help.
my opinion.
Well, funnily enough,
In my opinion, I am a doctor and I did psychiatry. It's, you
right.
can see some sort of personality disorder,
Okay.
and it's
Well, I reckon he's
we
got a number
all,
of disorders.
yes, absolutely. But it's a major, the way the writing goes, and I'm
Yeah,
realizing, oh my
that's
gosh,
my
how
opinion.
can I help for this? Do you understand what I'm
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
saying?
Well, look, I would say, I mean, look, when I responded on your behalf and on my own behalf and stuff like that, he was threatening to register this lien, and in fact, he threatened all of his members
Yes.
if they didn't pledge their loyalty to him, he was going to potentially lien them and take their assets, right? Really weird. Anyhow, I responded on your behalf, and I responded on my own behalf, and in fact, Simone got one as well, and so did Mark, and so on. And I pointed out that Iain had actually cocked up his paperwork. So Mr. Knowledgeable, Mr. Self-declared genius, who doesn't
Mm.
know as much as he thinks he knows, and gleaning information from other people's websites, not doing the work himself, not having gone through, just to let people know out there, he hasn't actually done any of this himself. I
Yeah.
just want you to be aware of this. He's never gone to court using this stuff. He's never won a case using any of this stuff. He just gleans it from other people, adopts any potential success, and even if there is no success, he makes up the success, adopts it as his own, and then claims to be the Messiah, right? The second coming, and
He's
all this
good.
the font of
I have to
knowledge.
say, it's really good. It's like he's so good. He can fool quite a few people.
Well,
You know.
it's like the Nazis said, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, Goebbels, the bigger the lie, the
Mm.
more people are bound to believe it,
Yeah.
right? And on that basis, I come from the planet Uranus, right? Um, so, um, and I'm here. having been sent by the Intergalactic Council to defend Earth from Iain Stamp.
Yes,
Let's see
yes,
if you believe
yes.
that lie, right? So the point I'm making is that, albeit the fact that he threatened you and he threatened me, and in fact, I
Mhm.
would just say, as off at a tangent, when I reported him to the police for the second time for harassment, as did Miss Marshall, or Simone, um, they came up with the conclusion that he had psychiatric issues. That was their words to me, right? That's a fact. That's what they said to me. They believe he has psychological issues, psychiatric issues, right? They said that to me.
Then section him. I'm sorry. In that case, section him because the police I've reported, they just said they didn't do anything. Basically,
Right.
they were just they were like, we will follow, but nothing happened. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I
Well,
just
it's
let that be.
yeah,
Yeah,
sure. I mean, the thing is,
yeah,
you have to get it on the record. So the point I'm trying
yeah.
to make to all the people out there, all the members that have been threatened with this stuff, is that Iain Stamp doesn't know what he's doing, right? He doesn't understand this stuff. And what he was threatening,
Mm,
aside from the fact that his language was incorrect, he was mixing, straw man language with, upper
mhm,
lower and all this kind of stuff because he doesn't understand it. His process was flawed
mm,
anyway, and his use of conditional acceptance is completely flawed,
mhm,
right? He doesn't know how to use it. So we easily dispensed with that. And in fact, if anyone's got lien rights, I've actually turned my one round with the conditional acceptance, what he sent to me, and he actually owes me about 170 million, I think it is. In June 23, he was then arrested. So the
mm,
FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority, in conjunction with Hampshire Police, arrested Iain Stamp. They have frozen his assets. They got a freezing order. They've frozen his assets. And following that, our criminal investigation was then lodged, finalized and lodged with the FCA in October 23, after which
mm,
he then fled the country. Now, in his recent, I've seen his recent 2 hour, 19 minutes video, in which he's stating his case that the entire world and his brother is conspiring to attack Iain, presumably because Iain is the second coming. Maybe they'll crucify him. You never know. Um, and
That would be
we live
good.
in hope.
Yeah.
Um, I'll be there, front
Yes,
row,
I
popcorn,
know. So would
cheering them
I.
on. Come on in, the Romans. Let's do it.
Sorry.
Um, yeah, I'll even help. I'll hammer in a nail. Um, um,
I think he probably have a very bad childhood, clearly some sort of trauma. Do you know why would he
hmm.
become like this? Why would he want to harm so many people?
Well,
It's
apparently he was
just,
involved in a head-on collision, wasn't he? So he
oh
says in his
really?
backstory. Well,
Oh
look,
wow, I did not know that. Okay,
I don't know
interesting.
whether this is true or not.
Mm.
You have to take it all with a pinch of salt. But
Yeah, yeah.
certainly in my bio, I
Mm,
make it clear that I woke up to this in 2007, 2008, and I used to play rugby. I had a spinal injury, and this, that, and the other. And then after a few years of Ian's whatever bio he had up at the time, his bio changed, and all of a sudden, he was a footballer, apparently very good footballer, according to him. And then he had a car accident, a head-on collision, right? Well, I mean, we should be able to tell from
I
his face
see.
and from the maybe potential
I
brain
see.
damage. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. Would there have been brain damage in a head-on collision? Maybe. We don't know. We don't know, right?
So he's
But
basically steals all information, right? Look, he's just
well,
following you basically some of the things,
this is the
doesn't
thing.
he?
And then all
Yeah.
of a sudden he woke up in 2008 and
Wow.
I'm thinking, and he had a spinal injury. And I'm thinking, you know what? That seems to mirror, that seems like a bio that
Yeah.
I'm familiar with. Oh, it sounds like
Mm.
my own bio. Then he was making up that he had this educational thing and he's been awake to it for all these time. And as far as I'm concerned, he just makes it up. He gleans information from other sources and he makes it up. This is the way in my opinion, he just fabricates.
Unbelievable.
I don't even know if Ian knows who the real Ian is.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe the real
Agreed.
Ian, maybe the real Slim
Yeah.
Shady should stand up. The real Slim
They have like
Stump,
12 personalities or whatever,
the
is
real
that?
Ian Stamp. Can the real Ian Stamp stand up? But probably not, because there's nothing real about him. But the point is that he in his recent video he has, and I want to get this out there. I hope you don't mind me hijacking your interview.
No, absolutely. No,
Um,
no, no.
but
No.
called me out again because he wants to have this debate. I've been invited to this debate so many times, and whenever I accept, he moves the goalposts as to how this debate is going to take place. So let me make it quite clear. Ian, Ian, listen up, right? Try to put aside the fogginess of your accidents the obvious accidents, the obvious trauma that you've had, the obvious problems that you've got. Put that all aside, right? I am more than happy in front of your members, right? And this is not a half an hour job as you offered me in your at your World Conference, Freedom Conference, whatever that is, where you do a lot of talking and nothing happens. Um, this is going to take a good few hours to go through all the evidence that I've got about you and what you've been doing. So I would want to earmark a good 3 to 4 hours, right? And what we'll do on that, you've invited me to challenge you, or you've challenged me to come forward with all the evidence. Well, let's do it in front of your members. Now, I'm more than happy to do that on Blighty, and let's hire a hall. I think this was you were invited to do this by the Matrix Freedom Victim Support Group, which you declined. Okay, you didn't want to do it. Let's hire a hall. Let's get all of your members there. Let's televise it. Let's do it live, stream it live, and let's have it out. And we'll get someone independent to act as the mediator, if you like, or as the chair party, right? And they can give fair time. Hold on, excuse me. I'm just going to turn that off. They'll give fair time to you, Iain, to put your case across and to, to respond to the evidence that I've amassed, right? Which is obviously all in the possession of the FCA as well, but I've got copies, and we'll have it out, right? But what we're not going to do, and this is what Iain wanted to do, Iain wanted a debate way back when. He wanted a debate because he'd been trying to get onto You and Your Cash, and I threw him off in early April 22, 14th of April 22. And I told him to leave our material alone. And he said, I haven't taken any of your material. I've got it on email, right? He then challenged me. He said, you make whatever you can communicate this in whatever way you want, Simon, right? Make videos if you want. I don't care. I will prove you wrong. I will prove my innocence and prove you wrong. Well, he hasn't done that. And he just lodged complaints to take the videos down, right? But then later, he then claimed that, or it certainly implied that he had used evidence or sorry, information from the website, because it was now my fault that he was selling a 100%, an alleged 100% track record to wipe off mortgages, right? And this was apparently my fault. And he claimed that he was the patsy. He claimed that I had made him into a patsy by persuading him to go out and sell a 100% mortgage track record, making him millions.
Oh my goodness, this
right?
is just so bad. He's blaming you for that.
And that's me persuading him to rip people off for millions. And that's making him the patsy. So if I was making him a patsy, I would have the millions and he would get the blame. Instead, he's got the millions and he's trying to blame me. So who's the patsy? Who's trying to make who into a patsy? Now, the funny thing is that if he hadn't taken any information from the website, what would it matter? Even if I did say to him, which I didn't, but even if I did, what would it matter if I said to him, oh, you can do a thing called a lien and wipe off a mortgage? Surely someone who is as intelligent as Iain Stamp, as he professes to be and declares himself to be, surely he'd go and check all this stuff and do due diligence before selling it. But apparently he didn't. Apparently he took it on spec during the meeting with me, right? Because we did have a meeting. He claims that I persuaded him to do this, right? Well, I've got news for Iain Stamp. I recorded that meeting. He doesn't know I recorded it until he sees this video. I recorded recorded that meeting, and in that meeting, of which the FCA has a copy of the recording and a transcript, I said to Iain 5 times, this needs to be tested. Now, Iain has taken the words, this needs to be tested, and in his head, that's come out as, we have a 100% track record, go and sell it to people.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe it was the voices talking to him. I don't know. I mean, it concerns you. It concerns me. What if he asks someone out on a date and they say no? What does he hear?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
come on, let's
Yes.
go for it.
It's a bit scary. It's a bit scary, literally.
Right?
Yes.
So,
He
so
doesn't understand no.
well,
Yes.
he doesn't understand no, and I know this because when he was asking me to work for him, he did not take the no for an answer, and it was harassment. So the point I'm trying to make to people, and and I really appreciate you coming on, because in spite of all the threats against you by this guy,
Oh
right? If
no.
indeed he is a man, I dispute that. He's a person. Despite all the threats by this person, you still have got the gumption to stand up and say, no, this is not on. I'm not having this, right? And I just want people to be aware. This is what Iain Stamp is all about, right? He's supposed to have sued me however many times. I'm still waiting.
Delighted.
What I want to say to people is this: look, he's very good at the publicity side of it, but he's not so good at delivering. Okay. Um, Now I have spoken to his ex-wife, and she verifies that.
Really?
That's a joke.
No, for real?
So
Oh my God, like,
I
it's
said
so
he's good
possible.
at publicizing what he can do, but he's not good at delivering. And I said his ex-wife verifies that. That was a joke. That was a joke. I don't know. It might
No,
be
I just
true.
wondered that he has even ex-wife. He didn't kill them or somewhere or just buried
Well, you
them,
never know.
That's
I don't know. Well, that's a call out to his ex-wife. Are you still
yeah.
alive? And if so,
Yes.
please get in contact. In fact, any of his other victims from his previous
Yes.
companies, please get in contact. We'd love to hear from you, because we're going to start the Iain Stamp Appreciation Society, and we'd like people to come forward to actually, get on the record what their experience of dealing with this guy is. Because in his interview with Ben Hawkes, Iain mentioned that he had 500 affiliates who, when his first venture went tits up, for want of a better phrase, and none of it was his fault.
Well,
None of his friends or family, and none of these affiliates would talk to him. They wouldn't pick up the phone to him. If he rang them, they wouldn't answer the phone. And his family members, as he described it, would walk out of the room when he walked into the room. Now, these people know him, his family know him better than anyone. Why would they do that? Why would they walk out the room when he walked into the room? Why would his affiliates, allegedly knowing that it was HBoss or whatever that had pulled the plug on this and it was them to blame, why would they blame him then? And why is it in every successive venture, his victims, all these people seem to point the finger at Iain Stamp?
yeah.
Now, I had a boss once who said to me, if you walk into a room, Simon, and 10 people tell you that you've got green hair, you've got green hair. And what he was meaning by that was that, you know, if you've got all these hundreds of people from all these different ventures, failed ventures, and they're all pointing the finger at Iain Stamp saying, he's ripped me off, and there's
Mhm.
hundreds of them,
Mhm.
have they all conspired over the span of 20 years to come forward, give Iain their money so that they can all turn around and point the finger at him and accuse him of being the bad guy? They all did that, did they? They all threw thousands of pounds at him so that they could just turn around and conspire for some reason with the government and the FBI and the aliens and everybody else to conspire
No.
against him, to call him a liar and a fraudster and a this, that, and the other. This is what he would have everyone believe, right? Is that more likely? Or is it more than likely that he's actually been ripping people off for 20 years? In my opinion, I go with what's most like, come on, what's common sense? Well, I've dealt with him myself, and I know what my opinion of him is. I wouldn't trust him to hit the floor if I threw him off a cliff,
That's true.
right? I wouldn't trust him to hit the floor. So there you go. I know where my vote actually rests. But anyhow, so I take it you've never ever had your money back then, Angela.
Of course not. Not only that, I mean, he sent you link by, remember, email. He actually sent it me by post.
He sent you the
Okay.
lien, yeah, the
Three,
lien threat,
yes.
yeah.
Yes, three. So I've introduced that evidence to the police officer. So it wasn't good enough for him to email me in every single email he was emailing you. And it's just, and then when you block, he just emailed to the different. I don't know how he's find all my emails anyway. Then he's emailed you offering new services. That was the funniest bit. After that, he's emailed you to offer new services.
I know.
Unbelievable.
It's insane. It's absolutely mental. Well, this shows you that. I mean, I'm assuming these emails have come out from different departments, but it just shows you that they don't communicate. There's no efficiency, and certainly, look, if you out there, if you bought his services from anywhere from August 22 onwards, in fact, even from June 22 onwards, look, really, had you conducted any due diligence whatsoever, you would have found videos online from me exposing him, right? And they were quite, up there on the Google searches. If you've bought his services in 2023, and I know that at least 160 people did, they fell for this new mortgage service, which he claimed to have a 100% track record of doing, which he's never ever had a 100% track record of doing, because if he'd had a 100% track record in 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022, why was it on the 27th of December 2023 did he make a video announcing his first result? And even that was a lie, because Charmaine, who used to work for him, is in court at the moment defending repossession proceedings. So we know that what he put out there, claiming to have wiped off this mortgage, was a lie. And in fact, he approached me on email asking me to remove that video, because they tried to remove the video, right? They tried to remove it. And for once, YouTube said no.
Oh, thank
And
goodness.
they actually left the video up, right? Because normally he's putting in copyright claims, then he put in defamation claims, right? And the thing is, if you mention someone's name, YouTube will generally log it up as a defamation claim, right? It doesn't matter whether there is or isn't defamation. They don't investigate beyond that. If you name someone, they'll just say, yeah, okay, someone's kicked off about it, we'll get it removed. Or not removed, it gets blocked in the UK. So if you use a VPN, people, you can still see all the videos on WhiteRabbitTrust YouTube channel if you use a VPN. And if you're allegedly in Spain or wherever, if you're not in the UK using a VPN, you can still see the videos. But what he did was he approached me and he said, if you remove those videos, I'll forget everything else.
Wow.
I'm assuming so that he could carry on trying to rinse people for the last bit of currency before he calls it a day. And this is what I think he's doing, because he's now offering a 90% discount. In his emails, he says it's an offer never to be repeated. I've seen it repeated about 8 times over the last 2 months, right? And he's offering a 90% discount to give him yet more money, okay, for something that he's never going to deliver. And I would just say one thing to people out there, right? If Iain Stamp knows what he's doing with all this stuff, and if he has truly corrected his status, and he truly, as per his book, I've just downloaded it, Living in the Private, if he can do all of this, answer me one question. Just one question. Why are his assets still frozen then? If he can do all this, if his status is corrected, and he is the son of God and the king and this, that, and the other, why are his assets still frozen? I will give you the answer to that, because he doesn't know what he's doing. So either he's following the wrong process, doesn't know what he's doing, or the process he is following is baloney. And in actual fact, I would say all three.
Can I just say something? I think it's more sinister than that. He's
What's that?
actually making money. Sinister. You can see sinister in his actions. He's
Mm-hmm.
actually making money on these people who don't know what's going on, and they're
No, it's true.
hurt and they're stressed.
He's preying on them.
So you pray. It's actually kind of evil. You know what I'm saying? It's a major evil, and whatever energy you put out, it will. I believe in that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm grateful for people like you to stand up to this guy, because we need somebody to stand. How many people will suffer? This is just, it's bad, and it causes more stress, cause more. Listen, because all of that stuff happened to me, I kind of did my own healing, and I realized how all of this stress and the financial stress. Imagine how much stress is people having. It's all affect on the physical health. So that's the way I've started. Helping people with my little videos on YouTube and just having things. So yes,
you're making some, are you?
Yeah.
All right. So where can people see your videos?
So basically, at Dr. Angela Musso, the healing place. So I just give them advice how to deal with the chronic stress, chronic fatigue syndrome, because this is all related. We don't understand. you know, over these 4 years, I actually became a holistic specialist. I had to research lots of things, start making my own creams, you know, because I know what's in the current, you know, mainstream, what they sell in. It's mostly petroleum based medication. And so it's kind of lots of awakening. I'm grateful what happened to me, because I can pass the knowledge to others, because in this sort of situation, we all need to look after ourselves, and the stress is the major things in our stuff, and financial stress. And thank you for, I'm trying to say, people like you to help into that process to move on, and we don't have any more Iain Stamp. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's the awareness.
Well, he's not
It's
the
the
only one,
awareness for,
unfortunately. He's not the only one out there
yes,
that's
you
doing this
can
kind of
see
stuff.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Scary. It's really scary.
I know, I know. It's outrageous. It's outrageous, and it's sad, because I just think, I mean, you know, okay, look, I I've always been one of those kind of guys where if something's got to be done, I'm not going to necessarily sit back and let someone else do it. If it's
Yeah.
not got to be done, like, right, okay, come on in. No one else is doing it, right? Okay, I'll go and do it then. You know, you wait a little
That's
bit.
the
Is
right
anyone up for
attitude.
that? No, they're not up for it. Right, okay. In which case, I'll do it because no one else is doing it. You know, and I think that's in scripture as well. You know, if you see something wrong taking place and you don't step up to the plate to correct it, well, then you're just as bad as them. So
Yes.
so I was
Yes.
compelled to do something. You know, and funny enough, even in Stamp's recent video, he's claiming that he and I could have been friends. No. That's never ever going to happen. Never would happen, because not the kind of guy that I would associate with, right? I didn't like him from the day I
Exactly.
met him. When he came to my very first, you know, to the very first seminar, there was something about him I just did not like. It's a
Mm.
vibe that he gives off. Um, but yeah. Anyhow, look, I mean, I'm hoping
So,
that this is
yeah.
a, you know, I'm hoping that this has served as warning to anyone that's dealt with Iain
Yes.
Stamp. Look, you're not going to get what he's offering. Okay, it's not going to happen. It doesn't matter. Just wake up and smell the coffee, please. Right. In actual fact, Angela, you're the third party that I've interviewed. I've not put any of the interviews up, but they are going up now. They will be going up very shortly.
Beautiful.
So this is the
Yeah.
25th of April 24. The three interviews that I've done will be going up in relatively quick succession. And I hope that people just, you know, look, don't necessarily believe me, right? Don't believe me. Don't believe Angela, right? Angela's giving her experience. You know, the other girls that I've spoken to are going to give their experience. Don't believe any of us, right? Just do yourself a favor. Ask for the proof of what
Hmm.
he's done, right? Ask him if he's really corrected his status. Why is it that his assets are still frozen? Okay? Why? Because that doesn't make sense. That doesn't add up. You can't be above the system and subject to the system at the same time. It doesn't add up. It doesn't equate. So you need to ask questions before you just follow that dream. And I know we all want certain things to be true. We know someone comes out and says they can do X, Y, Z. Brilliant. Where's the proof? Because, you know, just someone saying it and then demanding that you give them 4 grand and then just not delivering, well, then, you know, I'm sorry, but you've been ripped off. And that's the reality. And no one likes to, once they've invested in something, it's psychological. People
Yeah.
don't like to accept or to think that they've been had, especially when they've woken up to having been had before. Um, but the reality is that you have been had. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but I have been telling you for 2 years. And if you choose to ignore that, that is your choice. But wake up and smell the coffee. Stop hanging on his promises. Um, I can tell you they don't have the staff to deliver what they're claiming to deliver. I've got multiple reports of people just handing over the cash and then they can never get hold of them again. And if this is the kind of experience you've had, all right, then you know you've been had. And I'm sorry, but there you go. So um yeah, maybe we can all put the calls on Iain to come forward and let's have this open debate, shall we? We'll do it live stream and no one in between. Because what he actually, just to go back to that, I forgot to mention what he wanted to do was he wanted someone to take questions from me, not have it live, but those questions would be fed to Iain, and then Iain would film his answers.
So you can
Well,
go
so
study a little bit.
Well,
I
so he
don't
can
know.
prepare some bullshit
Yes.
answer that I'm not allowed to quiz. How's that a debate? How's that a real discussion? That's not getting down to any nitty gritty. That is just preparing some
Oh,
propaganda. That's absolute
wow.
baloney. So if Ian Stamp is true to his word, right, we'll have in front of everyone, in front of your members, in front of the world. live stream, right? Or preferably live in front of a live audience. Let's get it on and let's go through and let's analyze what you've been up to and let's look at all your alleged successes, right? That you claim you've never advertised, but which I've got proof that you have advertised, right? Let's do it. So Angela, very good to see you. I'm sorry the experience that you've had. I'm glad that
Thank you.
you feel that it's
Thank
actually kind of, you've turned it into something positive.
Yeah.
I'm pleased for you that you've turned it into something. And I think a lot of other victims need to try to do something similar. Don't look at it as a failure. Don't look at it as being had. Look at
Lesson.
it as a learning experience. Yeah. There's only positive experiences and learning experiences, right? And
Absolutely. When you realize your health is affected and you see what's happening in the world, it's just, I am not into that. We are here to create a new world, and you are doing your bit the way you are, raising awareness of these people around us, which is, we don't need that extra stress of these parasites want to live on our energy, because money is the energy, if you think about it,
well,
that level.
time is money, energy is money,
Yeah.
right? It's all different
Yeah.
currencies. So
So,
lovely.
we just awareness. Thank you very much for inviting me.
No, you are welcome. And people, why not pay Angela's platform a visit? She knows what she's talking about health wise. So get over there and see what she's got to offer. And for anyone else out there that has been affected by Matrix Freedom or Iain Stamp, by all means, please feel free to get in contact, WhiteRabbitEducation@gmail.com, or alternatively visit MatrixFreedomReview.com, and you can connect with the Matrix Freedom Victim Support Group over there, because they have been chipping in with the crowd fund. And this ain't over, right? This is not over. The FCA have an open investigation into Matrix Freedom and Iain Stamp and his what I'm going to refer to as co-conspirators. Those are his senior management team, and let's see if we can bring them to justice, right? We cannot allow people like this to get away with what they're doing. All right. So yeah, let's make it happen, and let's show what truth in the truth movement is all about. It should be about integrity and truth, right? Not just saying it, doing it. Yeah, actions speak louder than words. Anyhow, Angela, thank you. I'll let you go.
So
Big love
much.
to you. And goodbye to you, and goodbye to everyone. We'll see you all soon.
Bye.
Bye bye. Take it easy. Bye bye.
You can walk my path. You can wear my shoes. Learn to talk like me. And be an angel too. But maybe you ain't never gonna feel this way. You ain't never gonna know me. But I know you. Singing in our things can only get better. It can only get, take it on from me, I know that things can only get better. I sometimes lose myself in me. I lose track of time, and I can't see the woods for the trees. You set them alive, burn the bridges as you've gone. I'm doing too far, yeah. I got my personal hell to deal with. And then you say, walk my path, wear my shoes, talk like that, I'll be an angel, and things can only get better, can only get better. Now I found you, I'm here with you tonight. Things can only get better, can only get better. Now I found you, and you show me prejudice and greed, and you've shown me how I must learn to deal with this disease. I look at things now in a different light than I did before, and I find the only get better. Can only get better. Now I found you. You. Things can only get